All right. So Hyatt is making a big push into AI, and it's not just about efficiency, it's about capturing travelers earlier in the booking journey. Today, we're breaking down why that matters, what it means for competition, and who might be falling behind. Plus, Hilton's new platform play, Marriott's possible new brand, United's massive fleet expansion, and one very, very unhinged airport moment. Let's get into it. Well, a very good morning.
Good morning.
We have got the fabulous Katie Cline joining us today. In case you were wondering, you're like, wait a second, hold on, that doesn't look like Steve.
Steve's looking a little different today. No, hello everyone. I'm Katie Cline. I'm the host of Skift's podcast, Sweet Success, and so happy to be back with my friend Sarah.
I love it. I love doing the show with you. I obviously love doing the show with Steve as well, but it's always fun. You always bring a great, unique perspective to it. And I don't know, I just really love how you are able to articulate your points of view, and it just is super interesting and great. So
that's a very kind thing to say to a mom of two who definitely has some baby brain still going on.
Oh no, you are doing fantastic. So don't you worry at all. But I'm sure you're kind of like, wait, oh my gosh, what are we doing?
Where am I right now?
Yeah, exactly. So speaking of where are you right now, where in the country are you joining us from? We always start off the beginning of the show. Everybody, if you're tuning in, let us know where you are joining us from.
I am at home in New York City, and I see Lou is joining us from Charleston. He said it's
That's
a high
right.
of 70 today, so a little chilly. To me, that sounds glorious, Lou. What about you, Sarah? Where are you?
Well, I happen to be actually in Las Vegas this week. Which is nice for a little bit of something calm for those that have been following along. I was in Orange County last week, Brazil the week before, Berlin the week before that. Whew. It's been a whirlwind, so it's nice to be a little bit stable for a bit. But
we need a Carmen Sandiego map for you of like where in the world is Sarah?
I definitely feel a lot like Carmen Sandiego. Over the past couple of weeks, I was totally like that, especially because I'd have clients call me, and I don't know. Sometimes I just don't like to overly advertise where I am because I'm like, they must think either they think it's cool or they must think I'm totally crazy. I mean, arguably, I may be. I travel well. Yeah. Well, ish, you know.
You keep it interesting, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. We got somebody based in New Delhi, India. I just had clients in New Delhi. They were there for a week, so that was nice. And cool. Well, and yeah, as you guys join us, please let us know where you're joining us from. So Katie, before we just dive in, anything new with you since you were last on that you want to just quickly share? Like what's been going on aside from being a fabulous mom and your amazing show?
Well, that's very kind. I was going to say you were a guest of Sweet Success. So that was really fun because we've gotten to spend a lot of time together personally, but it was really inspiring, Sarah, honestly, to hear your story, to hear how you started your brand and your whole world into travel and hospitality. So quick plug for Sweet Success to check out Sarah's episode. That's
yes. Oh my gosh. I know we'll have to definitely link to that. And I've got some clips too. So we need to figure out some clips to share to send people over to the show. But that was definitely a lot of fun.
I'm sure people would love to spend a little bit more time with you. What about you? Besides the whirlwind trip, are you coming down? Did you unpack yet? Or are you someone who leaves the suitcase in the corner for a while?
That is such a good question. So I did unpack. I technically got back Saturday. I unpacked yesterday. Because I'm trying to put like things in a cup. It depends. It all depends. That's a great question. I'm pretty good at unpacking within like 2 days. In this particular case, I was super exhausted and I was like, oh, now that I have like an extra room, I don't have to look at it. So I'm like, oh yeah, I should unpack. But there are times that I have like a quick turnaround, and so there was like the one night I landed, I got in at 1 a.m. and I was back out at 8 a.m. So obviously in that case, I definitely unpacked and repacked.
Yeah.
But
I'm admittedly horrible at that. I do
most people
leave it a little too long sometimes. And the carry-on sometimes, like the actual physical small carry-on, because I don't check. I don't like to check my bag. So I have
Mhm.
a big carry-on and then my little, parcel purse thing. Sometimes
Yeah.
that doesn't even get fully unpacked and it's just ready for the next trip for me.
Totally. Well, my carry-ons definitely stay mainly packed and ready to go for the next trip. I also have my toiletries. By the way, this is turning into a whole travel tip series, but we'll get into our topic shortly. I actually keep my toiletries pretty much packed and ready to go. And if I remember from the trip, like, oh, I was running low on XYZ. The first thing I do when I get home is make sure I stock up on whatever that is. So when I'm packing, I literally just toss in the toiletries and I don't have to worry about anything. So that's
Perfect.
a nice little pro tip here.
I love
But
that hack.
I know enough with our travel tips. Why don't we get into some topics? Are you
Let's
ready for that?
talk. Yes,
Okay,
let's do
cool.
it.
You're like, let's talk. All right. Our big story this week is about Hyatt and their AI strategy, winning the customer earlier. And, for those that have been really following along with the AI journey and seeing just what's been happening, it's all about how do we grab the traveler or the customer earlier in the journey, because now we're playing in a whole new different landscape with AI. So Hyatt is using AI tools there to basically engage travelers earlier in the discovery phase. So not necessarily just a booking. And they've found, which is not a surprise, that early results have showed improved conversion, sales efficiency, and productivity gains. So this is great because it helps them kind of compete directly with OTAs, Google, all of that. So
I love the example that they gave that you can essentially give a prompt, something like, I want to go somewhere where it's 70 degrees or warmer, where there's a great golf course and there's a beach, maybe a Michelin starred restaurant within a 5-minute drive.
yeah,
And I think that this is really cool because a lot of times, I don't think all of the times, but a lot of times you don't really know where you want to go. If I think about this summer, I planned a long weekend with a big group of friends and all of our kids. I wanted to be within a 3 to 5 hour drive of New York City. I wanted a
Mhm.
house big enough for all of us. I ideally wanted a pool or a lake, maybe some walkability. But other than that, I didn't really care where we were going. Or
Yeah,
even after Christmas, my husband and I wanted to take the kids. We wanted to go someplace that had a direct flight from New York City. We wanted it to be a fairly short flight, same time zone ideally, to someplace warm. Other
yeah,
than that, we didn't really care. So I do think that there is a lot of the travel decision that's happening in that kind of dreaming phase.
sure.
But I think the question remains, what is better used for that? Do we want to go to a ChatGPT and a Claude and maybe like almost a
Yeah.
third party? Or do we want to go to a Hyatt or one of the other branded companies to have that conversation?
Well, I think that's a really great point, and I love that you said that because there is, I think, all too often, maybe those in the industry underestimate how, in general, people can be fairly flexible at the beginning. I just had a woman yesterday in the gym. She was like, "Oh my gosh, you're in travel. Maybe you can help us decide and plan our honeymoon. Like, we don't even know where we want to go. We just want to go to a beach and just like relax on the beach." And it's like, that could be anywhere. That could
Yeah.
be Mexico. That could be the Caribbean. What type of flight are you wanting to do? You could go to the Philippines. Like, it could be
Yeah.
so many different things. And I think there is also, as you kind of mentioned, that dreaming phase. It's like that discovery phase is kind of interesting because it kind of lets people realize, oh wow, these are the possibilities,
Yeah.
which is kind of nice.
The huge opportunity I also see, and they touch on this in the article, is that this is going to give Hyatt and other companies who are using search
Mhm.
AI like this really a good read on what the traveler's priorities are, what
Yeah.
price sensitivities they might have, their desired trip type, and potential
Mhm.
add-ons.
Yes.
I also think, and we're going to talk about this in a future article that we'll get to, but I think
Yeah.
it's also going to tell them what new brands should we launch or are we missing? What destinations do we have
Yeah.
demand in that maybe we don't actually have something
Totally.
to service? That's going to help them really intentionally draw their development pipeline as much as it's going to help them to know like, hey, we can buff up prices here or,
Yeah.
surface this more.
No, that's such a great point because they're really, I mean, they're going to have access. We all know that data, that information is so important because they'll be like, okay, wow, there's been a lot of particular searches for, you know, road trips and national parks. And it's like, how is our presence in those areas, whatever that might be. So, yeah, that is a very, very key point. But again, it's interesting. I mean, it's showing that it just everybody that's in travel, as in all the big brands. I mean, they're very actively incorporating and getting involved in AI so that they are just further upstream, so to speak, of the whole planning process as they should be. And it is still, I still think it's because there's been a little bit of waffling back and forth. I know with ChatGPT as far as, okay, can they book? Will they be able to book right then and there, like in the actual chat conversation? Does it push them to the others to another site? Right now, I think they're saying not to actually have it book in chat because that would basically completely destroy the OTA, OTAs. And it really would really change the landscape. But I don't know. I still would be surprised that things could definitely change.
Yeah, I think we are so in the infancy of this technology. And this is an embarrassing story, but I remember I used to have an iPod, okay, like a lot of us did.
Okay,
And I
that part's not
remember when the
embarrassing.
iPhone came out and you could have your music on your iPhone. And I
Oh,
remember saying, I would never want that. I want to separate the two. I mean, that is a ridiculous statement. I also think I was thinking within the confines of like megabytes and like, oh, that would take up too much space on my phone.
oh,
And
sure.
now here we are in worlds of terabytes and more. So I think very much with AI, I've already seen in my personal life that shift from like thinking about AI as chatbots to now seeing the full spectrum of what
Mhm.
it can do. I remember when it was first coming out as well, people were talking about how the searches were moving from Google to ChatGPT.
Yeah,
And at first, again, I was a bit like, I don't know, like, would I need that? But there's so much nuance that you can talk to AI with that you can't
totally.
just in a straightforward chat. So I think it's just cool to see travel companies, hospitality companies, hotel brands experimenting with it because
Yeah.
I don't think anyone is going to get it right on the first try. But I
No.
think making it a priority in your business landscape means, like you said, you're going to be more ahead than people who are just sitting back and saying, I'm never putting songs on my iPhone.
Yeah. Oh, and that's such a great point. By the way, I love that you brought up the Google example because I remember people just typing stuff into chat that I was like, I would just type that in. There is a yes, you can use both, but there are definitely certain things that I absolutely still search for in Google.
Yes.
And then if I want like a different explanation or something more in depth, I'm putting it into chat. I don't know. I
Yep.
still use them in slightly different ways,
Yep.
but yeah, I mean, people would just be like, let's just ask chat. And I was like, well, you're gonna ask chat for like a website or whatever. It's just like, okay. But yeah, I mean, again, it's where they're just grabbing users' attention and then
Mhm.
they can, from that, I mean, the possibilities are endless
Yeah,
once they
hotel
brought it.
brands, airlines, et cetera, wanting to own more of the
Yeah.
traveler journey than just the stay or just the
Yeah.
flight is nothing new, right? This has
Yeah,
been
yeah,
going
sure.
on in our industry from the beginning of time, really. But I think this is now a really cool way that they are not only going to help the traveler surface places that maybe they didn't even know were in the portfolio, but
Yeah.
vice versa, get that full loop of feedback to then implement
Mhm.
different strategies or openings, et cetera, in the future for them as well.
Yeah, yeah, it's changing fast. It is
Mhm.
changing fast. Well, speaking of changing fast, why don't we go on? We've got a couple of other stories that we want to touch on. We'll probably
That's
do
good.
a little bit more rapid fire on them, but big things happening in the world of hospitality. So, our next topic here is Hilton and Yotel. Could there be a new platform model? So Hilton's deal with Yotel suggests a shift towards a platform style model, which is bringing sort of external brands into Hilton's ecosystem. Always a big thing, a big thing for a lot of these bigger brands, ultimately expanding distribution without really having to build it from scratch. So this is interesting because it's kind of signaling an evolution beyond traditional franchising, which is interesting. But I guess the big question is, and I want to hear is like, are hotel brands basically becoming marketplaces? I would say, yeah, they
Yeah,
are.
absolutely.
Right?
I mean, and we're starting to see this. Marriott has a licensing deal with MGM Resorts. Hyatt
Yep.
has a
Yep.
near identical one with the Venetian in Las Vegas, IHG with Novum. So we are
Totally.
starting to see this more and more. And
Mhm.
what's interesting to me, and the article did touch on this too, is the reputational risk. Because,
Mm.
Sarah, when I was at Marriott, when I was at Starwood, I was on the crisis communications team. We saw back in January that Hilton removed a Minneapolis Hampton Inn
Mhm.
from
Yep.
its franchise network after that
Yes.
hotel had refused
Oh,
to service to
I wish I would have talked to you about that, but
y
yes.
yes, absolutely. So that they were able to do that because they have this 300-page plus franchise agreement that is able to be very, okay, you've done something that hurts our reputation, you are out. If you are bringing in more and more product that you potentially have less control over, could that potentially affect that brand halo in the future?
That's a great point, and I love also that you use the term brand halo. Uh, so certainly from the brand standpoint, but also just the consistency, so that like what you're going. I mean, but then again, it's basically like sub brands under the bigger brands. Like there's a very different guest experience that's going to happen at a Waldorf Astoria, for example, than at another one of Hilton's brands. So.
Yeah, but you're raising a really good point about that consistency because
Mhm.
even the brands and the franchises within the, mothership, if you will, have
Yeah,
very tight regulations for each of them. And
sure.
if you're at the top of the luxury side, if you're at the, lowest price offering, there's still certain things you're going to get when you stay at a Marriott
Totally.
or a Hyatt branded hotel, like
Mhm.
a clean room, we hope, good Wi-Fi, certain
Yeah.
things that like you have that trust on. That's a really good point to think about too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think the only saving grace with that, and I'll say this from the lens of I work with another big brand and I do a lot of their TV work. And in general, the average consumer is not putting like we know, and if somebody was really like forced to maybe think about it, they might be able to put two and two together. But I don't know if everybody, for example, is realizing that the Waldorf Astoria is under Hilton. You know what I
Agreed.
mean?
But I do think we are seeing a trend, particularly with Hilton, Marriott,
Yeah.
where they do a brand by Marriott
Yeah,
hotels or
sure. Sure.
by
When the name is in the
Hilton, right?
title, totally different.
Exactly, and they're doing that more and more. I know we'll talk about that in one of our other stories
Yeah.
too, potentially a little, gossip happening in that space, but it is if you're tying yourself that closely. You're right. So I think if you're going to stay at a Yotel, unless you booked it through the Hilton website, you probably have no idea that this partnership exists. And what they
Correct.
are saying is that Yotel customers who haven't tried Hilton yet, this could be a way to get them into the Hilton ecosphere. I know this was something that we
Totally.
talked a lot about when I was at Starwood and Marriott, is that you have different brands, not only for different trip types, but potentially for different socioeconomic
Yeah.
classes or ages or something. And then people
Absolutely.
can kind of graduate throughout the brand ecosphere, if you will.
Totally. Totally. No, that's such a great point. And I mean, that's the whole point is like kind of get them in at the entry level and then like, maybe with work or this type of or that's the whole thing is it's like, oh, we like staying at these type of properties when we're going for work, traveling for work. We like staying at these other types of properties when we're traveling with our family. And so there really is not only something for every traveler, but even as they kind of grow like through their profession, and maybe they're socioeconomically, they can travel differently in 5 years. And so they can kind of stay in that system. So yeah,
Absolutely.
no,
Yeah.
that's a very good point. So why don't we go on to our next topic here? Marriott, trademark filing is hinting at a new brand. I love this. Like everybody's trying to, ooh, what's coming next? So
I know.
there was a trademark filing that suggests a possible new brand, Matter Hotels, which is, I mean, does the big question, does Marriott need another brand? What do we think? What's going on with that?
Yeah, so Marriott is now at 37 brands now, which is
Yeah.
crazy. When I left the company, we were at 30. So it's just incredible to see that continued growth. I
Mhm.
think their strategy a lot has been about capturing niche traveler personas. We've seen
Yeah.
that with the acquisition of Postcard Cabins, for example. So
Oh,
maybe
yep.
this is, there was speculation that this could potentially be more wellness branded. Also,
Mhm.
speculation it might not be. Um, I personally have to wonder if this really all comes back to area of protection, which, as we know, with branded
Sure.
hotels, franchise hotels, when you sign a deal, you are given an area of protection that essentially the company is saying, we will not allow another branded hotel within this bubble. And it can be bigger or smaller depending on the brand, depending on the negotiation, the location, etc.
Yeah.
So the skeptic in me questions, is this for the consumer or is this to attract more ownership groups?
Oh, whoa. Oh, I would say both.
And I don't think that's a bad thing for the consumer
No, no,
either,
no.
right?
Yeah,
More
no.
option is good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, and I mean, obviously, as we've seen with their strategy lately, they are trying to capture more niche traveler individuals.
Mhm.
So it makes sense, but you bring up a very, very, very valid point, as always. That I mean, again, if it gives them the opportunity to work with more owners, I mean, that's just smart business.
Exactly, exactly. There's nothing wrong about that by any means.
Mhm.
It's more about like that's an intelligent business decision and
Yeah.
also if you're growing the options for your customer, that's a good thing too because you'll have more choices of where to stay, you'll have more exposure to different brands that
Yeah.
might make you fall in love with one and want to travel someplace else and try something else. So,
Yeah.
very interesting to see what will come out of this.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and Capuano, by the way, I mean, had gone on to say that he sees a very long runway for mid-scale uh hotels. And I think
Mhm.
that makes complete sense, just considering the general economic climate that we're in globally, by the way.
Mhm.
So it's we're in this time where it's like where choice, people just want choice. And if it's
Mhm.
going to be just a slight shift for something a little bit different, um, it 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 just makes sense. I mean, there's a lot that they can gain from that.
Yeah, it definitely takes a lot to build a brand. I remember when I was working for W Hotels, we were opening W Punta de Mita,
Ooh,
and we
yeah.
were there, and I was talking to a guest. I said, "What made you want to come here?" They said, "Oh, I'd never heard of this destination before, but the fact that W opened here, I wanted to come check out the newest W hotel." And
Yeah.
that I think is a proof point of really strong brand loyalty. And I
Yes.
don't think you necessarily need that at every price point or for every brand. Some you just
Mhm.
need options, like you said. So I think
Yeah.
that will be a positioning exercise for the company to determine like how much do we need to put into like building an actual brand that people follow versus giving options and choice. And I loved how in the article they said that Matter has that same evocative one-word energy that we're seeing from lifestyle hotel brands like Canopy, Motto, Ruby,
Yeah.
Nomad, and Atonia.
Well, and also, well, we'll just touch on this and then we'll move on to our next topic here. But matter, just what that is. And we're seeing in general a shift just culturally, just our mindset is people are shifting more to things that matter. And
Mhm.
that word is being used in a lot of different contexts. So I find that part curious,
Mhm.
because and interesting because people want meaning, and
Mhm.
meaning is matter, and so it'll be interesting to see how they end up rolling that out.
Absolutely. And we did see in one of the trademark filings that it was Matter by Marriott, going back to
Yeah.
our earlier point of
Yes,
tying those together,
you're
right?
right. You're right. Okay, so Lou's saying when I'm looking for a hotel and see brand by Marriott, I know what to expect. Exactly. That's
Yes.
exactly it.
We also have someone joining from the Caribbean. How
Yes.
lovely. And Matthew joining us from Vermont as well. So, hi, everybody. Thanks for
Yes,
joining
thank
us.
you for joining. Exactly. All right, so this is interesting. Shifting gears a bit to airlines, and there's, by the way, there's a lot going on with airlines. But United is planning to add 250 planes, basically expanding their fleet. I think it was by 2030, if I remember correctly. I'll pull it up in the article, but that's huge. They're basically they are really trying to expand their fleet, but more so with premium demand, because
Mhm.
these particular planes will basically have more seats and more will have more premium offering or premium seats that they're able to sell as they've seen, and we've seen this kind of across the board, which also applies to hotels, is that that's really where their money makers are, is in
Mhm.
premium, and airlines are completely in alignment with that, and they have strong confidence in long-term travel demand. I agree with that. We as a society will never stop traveling. There might be dips because of things that are happening currently. Yeah,
Mhm.
one of the big ones being jet fuel, which I know that just a couple weeks ago, there's like, oh yeah, that might increase fares by 10%. I highly would recommend or suggest that it will probably increase fares by 20%, which is
Mhm.
a significant price jump.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting. The CEO said that demand is strong and has remained so with the rising oil
Yeah,
prices. But I do think you're right. At a certain point, the customer is going to go, is this worth it? Is this price tag
totally.
worth it for me? They say they're preparing for oil costs as much as $175 a barrel and
Mhm.
staying above $100 a barrel until 2027. So that
Yeah.
is a significant jump. But you're right. Not only are they taking up more space for premium seats, but they're also adding something in the back, which I think is quite cool, a snack
Yes.
bar. I really
Yeah.
like this idea. And they talked about other airlines who are doing something similar too. You do always have that kind of funny interaction with the flight attendant where it's like, you may get your one cookie now.
Yes.
And maybe you didn't want the cookie, or maybe you wanted two of the peanuts or whatever it might be. So I do think that kind of self-serve option is interesting. I wonder if that's also about staffing too, but quite an interesting option for us as travelers.
It is. I mean, my understanding is that they'll still do their regular like food and beverage sort of service, but I don't know. Oh gosh, I mean, I'm gonna go out. I'm just gonna say it. Sometimes some people get rowdy on the back of the plane, and it's like, and I also refer to a crowd as the Costco free sample crowd. Like, oh, there's a free sample. Oh my gosh, and that's not necessarily my favorite crowd because like people just so. I'm hoping that it doesn't turn into like a bum rush and like people are actually like sophisticated about it. I do see similar things on in international flights, but it was interesting because it's a similar but different touch. But in Delta, for example, in their more premium cabins, they come around and instead of just like the normal tray, they actually come around with a basket that you can choose from a variety of things, and they're more
Mm,
like elevated snack options. So
mhm.
I'm just curious how this will be because also, do they want people moving? They said in here that like, oh, people can move about the cabin, and I'm like, but do we want that? I don't
True.
know.
Very
Yeah.
true. Yeah, Lou said in the chat the airlines need to change their approach and have larger
Mhm.
planes and fewer flights. Airports just can't handle the traffic control.
Yeah, that's
We
crazy.
are days after the unfortunate crash at LaGuardia just here.
Oh,
So
horrible.
it's an interesting point that he raises.
Yeah, no, completely. I mean, it's there's a lot of shifts happening. I mean, this is going to be interesting to see how it'll roll out. I mean, it's obviously not changing tomorrow, but these plans I think make sense as far as moving forward in the future for United. So, and
Should
if
we
you are
move
a
on to
fan,
something that does not make sense?
yeah, yeah, let's go on to that. Our unhinged travel story of the week. Okay, this is wild. Do you want to kind of lead in this?
Sure. A
Okay.
real possum was discovered hiding among stuffed animals in an airport shop in Tasmania. Shoppers actually thought it was a plush toy at first until
Wow.
they saw its eyes blinking back at them.
Blink, 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 blink. That's wild. A possum, an actual possum. I mean, that is just crazy. Oh, Paul joined us. Yeah, free stuff turns everyone into a giveaway goblin. Ooh, giveaway goblin. I'm gonna have to steal that.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, no, definitely. But this is, I mean, come on. Okay, what's happening here? How is a possum getting into the airport? Also, like, what was the possum? Not that now we're trying to get into the mindset of a possum, but like, did he like,
What was he
it's like,
thinking?
oh, my people. And it's like, wait, they're not, no, like, what's happening?
I just loved the very dry Aussie reporting at the end of it, where it said it was unlikely to have been placed there as a prank. Someone would have had to put the possum through X-ray screening to get it into the secure departure terminal area. Like, yes, thank you. Thank you for pointing that out.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine? I mean, also like a possum too. That's crazy.
I know.
Like,
Never a
oh
dull
my God.
moment at airports, I suppose.
No, never. I mean, it is also, I mean, we are talking about Tasmania. So but I love that it found itself like right next to like kangaroos, stuffed kangaroos and all that stuff. Like,
That's right. That's right.
this is great. Yeah, this image is hilarious. Like and it's just like blinking back at it. So let us know, guys, if has there been anything crazy that you've seen at airports? I feel like the craziest thing that I've seen. I'm used to seeing dogs, although I feel like I saw a lot, and now I don't see as many. What always is interesting to me is cats. I get it. People have to travel with their cats, especially if they're moving. Generally, it would be like when they're moving. But when I'm on a plane and I hear like a cat meowing, I'm just like, what is happening? It's like one of these, this shouldn't be here right now. This shouldn't be here right now. And the poor cat's probably like, what in the world is happening?
I've actually flown with my late dog twice when we moved to the UK,
Yeah.
when we moved back from the
Yeah.
UK. And it is a trip. I mean, sometimes
Sure.
the requirements are crazy. They required us to bring diapers for the dog. Like
Yeah.
as if my dog was going to wear that. But Kate is joining us. She said, "Oh wow, I would freak out. How did that happen? Who handled that situation?" I think that last question is so great. You're leaving a gift store attendant to have to deal with some wildlife. A bit crazy day on the job.
Right. Or they call security, and security is like, I'm not trained
We're
in animal control. Although arguably some people might be would be considered animal control, but
That's going to be a total not me moment.
no,
Not it.
no.
Not it.
Not it. Yeah, for sure not it. That which also, and that should probably be a conversation for another show, but we should talk about the crazy not it moments that we've had working in hotels, because I know that we've all been in hotels where something happens and we're like, oh, I am not trained. We are not trained for this. Not it. No, thank you. So I know that we've got a lot of stories around that. But why don't we do a quick before we wrap up here, real-time recap.
Yes.
What have you seen out there in the streets of hospitality? And if you need me to go first,
I have such a good one. No,
Okay,
I have a great one. So there is this company called Quip, like a short for equipment. And they allow you to rent a variety of things when you're traveling, but I know them for baby things. So after Christmas, we went to Florida. Obviously, we didn't want to check the pack and play or a high chair or these like really bulky things. So you're able to actually rent everything you need. And it's through a real person. So it's almost kind of like, think of Airbnb, how there's hosts who own their properties and they're putting this on the platform. There's people who own the stuff, have to keep it to a certain standard, and they're on the platform.
Okay.
The person that I was assigned to rent through was just fantastic from the beginning. So she had messaged me a few days before our trip and said, where are you staying? I want to reach out to your management company and see if I can get into your rental before you arrive and set everything up for you. So that alone was huge. And the fact that she did that. We flew. This was my son's first flight, 2 kids. We touched down in Key West. And of course, we then sit on the tarmac for an hour and a half, which is the most frustrating feeling, as the pilot is telling us there's no gates available and we're looking at 4 open gates out of the plane window. So at this time, I'm having to now change my Instacart order, which was supposed to be delivered to us. And
Yeah.
luckily, again, the management company was able to open the door. So they were able to deliver my groceries. So that was a huge, huge win. But then I
Yeah.
also had this woman from Quip texting me saying everything is all set up. And just that moment of feeling taken care of by somebody when
Yeah.
everything else is messy was incredible. Then I knew this was going to happen, but we get to the rental car counter. And even though I booked a car seat for my daughter, guess who didn't have a car seat? So they gave us a car seat for bigger kids, which would not be really adequate for her for the whole trip. And I was able to text this woman through Quip and say, can we add a car seat to our order?
Yeah.
Not only did she say yes, but she's like, I live really close to the airport. If you want, I'll leave it on my porch for you. I'll just add it to your order. This way you can get her in that car seat as soon as possible. So it's just those little
Oh my
moments of
gosh.
really feeling taken care of when so
Wow.
many other parts of the travel experience broke, whether it not being having a gate when we arrived or not having
Yeah.
my car seat that I pre-booked. And then having someone there who's like, I got you. I got you taken care of. That was huge.
That sounds okay. You just had like somebody really just help save the day.
I know. So now I'm a walking commercial for Quip. So
Well, as you should be, because I mean, they really helped. And again, it just shows you like if you have the right person that can just help it's all about making things easier for those that are traveling. And I think that
exactly.
that's the biggest key. I mean, that was certainly what I did as a concierge when I worked at a hotel. And which kind of brings me to my story. So last week I was staying at the Westin South Coast Plaza. It's where I stay when I work with a client of mine, and they know me. Like I've stayed there multiple times, and there's a couple things going on, and like they know how to anticipate. They know how to anticipate my needs. They also the level of service that they deliver is like they're like, what do you need? Like we've got it. And
Mm.
I can even be at higher end hotels and they're still not as responsive as this particular Westin. Now I will also say this. I do make sure that I tip and say thank you to every single person. I'm talking about the valet, my car stays up front, the front desk, because sometimes I have to move around rooms, the housekeeper, whoever's delivering a room service to me. And it's just a reminder because I know sometimes there's a bit of tip fatigue. People are like, oh my
Mhm.
gosh, we have to tip everybody. But if you tip the right people at the right time, the appropriate amount, not saying to go crazy, that so many people have tipping fatigue that little bit makes you stand out. And so next thing you know, they're
Wow.
like, I'll bring your cappuccino to your room. And you're like, oh my gosh, that's great. Or whatever it is. We keep your car up front so you never have to wait long. Or, oh, I've got these like boxes of things. No problem. We've got them all for you. And so I think this was first of all, exceptional service, but it was also this reminder that like, we should still tip people, even though there's a lot of fatigue out there. If you can do that, because it does make a difference, because so many people are just being left to like fend for themselves as far as just relying just on that hourly wage. And, we need a little bit more help these days.
Yeah, that's such a great insight and a good reminder too, because
Yeah.
you're right. Sometimes you're like, oh my gosh, I'm being asked again, or I don't know how much I should do. But that little bit can really be a huge difference maker in how they see you as a guest and then therefore how they take care of you.
Yeah, definitely. So wait, this last quick topic here or question. Matthew said, how do you think hotel properties can utilize AI and products like Quip within their upsell programs?
Ooh, great one. Great
You can give
one.
a quick soundbite on that.
Yeah, I mean, Quip is such a good one too. I don't know if it's as appropriate for hotels because hotels might be able to stock the similar items and just keep that all in house. But it's great for short term rentals,
Yeah.
particularly. It's therefore if you're not somebody who wants to stock it yourself or
Yeah.
trust your cleaning team to be able to set it up to the right quality and standards, having that third party that you can still offer those amenities because in a way that would influence my booking decision, right? If I am
Sure.
a mom who's flying someplace and can't bring all of this stuff that I
No, you need
need
that there.
for the safety and sleep of my child, I might
Mhm.
choose house A over house B if they offer
Sure.
it. But if house B says you can book it through Quip and it's all taken care of for you and it's just as easy, if not better, because they have a bigger array of things. I was able to get a bottle sanitizer. I
Yeah.
mean, you name it, they had
Yeah.
it. I think it is an excellent unlock for smaller operators, particularly.
And smaller operators, including hotels, because a lot of the things that you described might be part of like a guest services division, but like not every property has a guest services division. So
Absolutely.
maybe for more of the mid-scale
Yes.
properties, it would absolutely be something that they could kind of add on and just help give like a bit of peace of mind. I mean, just think
Yes.
about a longer term rental or longer stay hotel. This would be great for them as well. Maybe somebody like, just because we keep throwing out the name there, like a Waldorf Astoria or Ritz-Carlton might not need it necessarily.
Right.
Or maybe it's like they still go through the people on staff, but then they have this in the background that's like helping them procure items when they can't physically leave the hotel, because that's also an
Yes.
issue. So
Or maybe the car rental companies could partner with it, because I knew they were not going to have my car seat, even though I booked direct and booked it in advance. So if you can support, by the way, these are individual people in the community who are stocking these items, who are keeping them clean, who are keeping them ready. You're supporting a local and you're delivering a better guest experience. I mean, what a total win-win.
Totally win-win. Oh my gosh, we covered so many great topics. I know we went pretty long today, but thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Katie, for joining us as well.
Thanks for having me back. I always love being here with you guys and with everybody in the comments. It's so great to see the engagement.
No, it is really great. So I know that there's a lot we could have kept talking, but due to time, I know we'll have to kind of wrap today's show. But thank you, Katie, for joining us. And by the way, thank you all for joining us as well, live, chiming in, sharing your questions, your thoughts in real time. That is what we love, to be able to have that real-time engagement. It makes it so much more fun and exciting. So as always, if you found this show useful, be sure to share it, like, subscribe, follow, all the things, the deal. But wait, Katie, do you know how we end the show?
Tell me.
We both say stay hospitable at the same time. So
all right, let's do it.
So we can do that. All right. So with that, thank you guys for tuning in. And until next time,
stay hospitable.